Hey, Bryce, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Terry. How are you, man? You doing all right?
I'm doing all right. Ladies and gentlemen of For My ATL Sports One, we have Mr. Bryce Lewis in the house, our illustrious guest. And Bryce, I am very glad to have you here, sir. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, but I would be remiss if I did not mention your credentials. So if you allow me to, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So, number one, Bryce is a reporter for WFF News 4. Bryce has also done podcasting as a host at the Believe Network, and I believe you still do. Uh,
Mhm.
he has been a podcast host at Sideline Sport, and he has, excuse me, been a reporter for the Atlanta Falcons and Atlanta Hawks at Fan Media Network Incorporated. You can also view some of his works at Brycey2K on YouTube. And welcome to the show, sir. Welcome, 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 welcome. So, Bryce, I think you and I, the last time we saw each other, we were on One Time for the Fan. We were talking
Mhm.
Hawks. And tonight we are talking Falcons. Sir, how have you been? What's going on? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just been, working. News business never rests, never stops. But overall, man, I've been good. Just been, doing our thing and trying to keep up with the teams. Hawks, Falcons. Obviously, it's been a bit of a dead period. I mean, outside of training camp, preseason, so obviously that's ramping up here. So content will probably start ramping up as well because of that. So excited for that. Obviously excited for both, especially when end of October comes when both teams are active. So going to be definitely active for that for sure. And yeah, I mean, the biggest things about me, man, it's just, big sports fan. Love that. That's my passion. That's what I'm trying to do for a career, full time, things of that nature. So working to do that every day to try to get as close as I can to that, and just really trying to give myself an opportunity in the future to just kind of grow and just continue to get better every day. So that way, when I can say I've reached success, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, yeah, we've done something with our life when we reflect on it at the end of the day, man. So yeah, but like I said, I appreciate you letting me come on, man, for sure. And talk some Falcons with you.
Definitely, man. Love it. So, last question. Bryce, what is success to you?
Success. I mean, success is a when you get to a point where you feel like there's a satisfaction with where you are in your life and feeling like, okay, I've done the things that I've wanted to do. I've reached the things that I've wanted to reach, and now I can be comfortable, and there's a bit of peace that comes with that as well.
Okay.
Just because if you feel like when you're working towards something, you can't be peaceful till you get what you're aiming for. So when you have that, and then you're able to say, hey, did a pretty good job, or I was able to do what I need to do here. Whether that's short term or long term success, everything's a little bit different depending on the person, but either or, success can be whatever you want it to be, but there is the overarching of just I've done what I needed to do. I've found that inner peace, and I'm content and happy with where I am in life.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, Mr. Bryce, without further ado, let's get into it, sir. So, first
Mhm.
and foremost, our beloved Atlanta Falcons seem to have they got a pep rally going on, right?
Mhm.
And I guess my question about that is, do you think the addition to the team via the coaching staff and players will generate a larger crowd at the pep rally?
I think that, but in and of itself, just the expectations for the team in general. I think because there is expectations and there is excitement in the fan base to be a playoff team, and for some to potentially be a Super Bowl team. And if you can feel like that going into an NFL season with your team, you're probably going to any type of rallying events where you can connect with other like fans. I think is going to excite everybody. I think obviously adding who we've added helps to that. Of course, adding Kurt, adding Raheem, Zach Robinson, adding Matthew Judon, adding Justin Simmons, the guys like that just adds on to the excitement for this team this season, and people look forward to now seeing what this looks like on the field when they get on the field Sunday, which I know everybody is revving up and ready for. So I definitely think, that'll help. When we do these prep rallies, and I think I've seen a video right before I came in here. I saw it, and it seemed like it was pretty packed out there at Atlantic Station.
Oh yeah, man. Let me tell you something. And you immediately got fans. Michael is coming in the chat saying Ricey. So there you go. Automatically
So
got firing coming in the chat. I see that. So yeah, it looks like Atlanta is very excited. Raheem is as advertised. I was in love with the pick from day one. Um, no disrespect to Bill Belichick. He is a very decorated coach.
mm,
Probably has forgotten more about football than I will ever know. But I just felt like he was not the ideal candidate for this place at this time in this year. And I feel like the Falcons made a great choice, not a good one, a great one. Raheem seems to connect with his players. You talk
mm.
to guys, they want to run through a wall for him. Do you think this Atlanta fan base right now believes in this year's team?
I would say so. I think obviously being a Falcon fan, there's a bit of you're a little reserved at times. You don't want to.
Yeah,
It's almost a little scary, I guess, to be hype in general if you're an NFL fan when you think your team's going to be good because now there's the expectation we should beat these guys, we should make it this far, we should do this, we should do that, and when you don't, you're just like, well, this was just a disappointment. Like they always say, you get into you're so excited for your team, even if your team's expected to be the worst team in the league, and
yeah,
then in the first quarter when you're down 14-0, then you're like, all right, now you're done. So I think I think a lot of fans do. I think a lot of people recognize like this is a good team. Like this isn't a team that's like, oh yeah, this is bad. Like I think people are excited, ready to see what happens. They're excited to see what this team ends up becoming, and they're excited for the ride that we're about to go on for this season. Hopefully, very positive ride that ends with glory. But I think the fan base is excited for this team. Excited about the additions, excited about the staff. There's a new energy in Atlanta. Obviously, they don't despise their head coach, so that's a start. So, yeah, so,
start.
uh,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I think overall, I think everybody's ready to go and revved up for the Falcons season this year, and excited to kind of see, okay, from what we're seeing on paper, does that translate on the field? Because if it does, then obviously the Falcons will give us a lot to be excited about.
Without a doubt, man. I think that this is by far one of the best teams that the Falcons have ever assembled from an offseason perspective. I would dare anybody to say different because, again, I'm expecting great things from this team. With that being said, this great team is going to play another very good defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to talk through some expectations, some offensive keys, some defensive keys. What do you feel good about? What concerns you? So, with that being said, let's start with the expectations. What are your expectations for this game?
Expectations for this game. It's actually interesting because I think the thing where we are right now is we don't actually know a lot about this team in terms of how they play, their identity, what they're going to do, just because there's new coordinators with some new players, and we just haven't seen it yet.
Right.
So expectations for me though, is I expect this team to come out. I expect them to show off some of the things we haven't seen, and I expect that to lead to some success. I think that's going to be the big thing. Realistically, I expect this team to be a much more pass heavy team than
Yep.
previous years.
Yep.
With what we have now, obviously still integrating running the football a lot, and we'll see if they're more of a time possession team or a big play offense. But I expect that to be one of the things, and I actually have expectation that I think we should be able to get a multi-sack game from our guys. I know people forget. I want to say was it last year? I think it was last year. We no, it wasn't last year. It was 2 years ago actually. We had, I believe, a 5-sack game against the Saints because I think we played them in the opening week. I can't remember if it was exactly them, but I know we had a multi-sack game. And so I'm expecting us to get after it. Pittsburgh's offensive line has some injuries up front.
Mhm.
So I expect Grady and David and Judon to feast a little bit. on that offensive line.
I would agree. My expectation is number one, we score at least 28 points. Although I think it will be a contested game, I don't think it will be easy. Pittsburgh has an excellent defensive line. One of the keys for me is going to be blocking Mr. TJ Watt. And if you double TJ Watt, which we probably will, everybody else has got to do their job and block. And Pittsburgh has a really good front seven, a really good defensive line. So it's going to be a challenge. I still think we'll win, but I do not think it will be a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination. Michael also says one time, those of you who know I'm also a podcaster on One Time for the Fan. So shout out to Mr. Jack Spade, my mentor and friend. And please like and subscribe One Time for the Fan, and also like and subscribe for my ATL Sports One. And while you're at it, like and subscribe Brycey2K. How about that? All right.
Sir.
So now that we're there, all right, we got the expectation. What's your offensive keys for the Falcons for this game?
Offensive keys for me is just being able to get into your stuff and execute your stuff. I mean, usually week one is the first time you've played. So this is the first time you've gone full speed executing these plays where someone can actually hit you and, in the full element of an NFL game. So executing your stuff. They got to execute. They got to be able to, whatever they're trying to do, if they're trying to become more of a screen team, hit those screens, get yardage, any type of yards count. Being able to run the football. I mean, that's something that has been a strength of this team. That's something that, even though I think they're going to be more pass heavy, I do think you still rely on that running game. You have Bijan Robinson, who you expect to have a big season from. You have Tyler Algier, who you also expect to have a big season from as well. You have an offensive line that a lot of people have rated as top 10, top 5 offensive line in the game. So overall, I think they should be able to execute. And then obviously, the third key for me is in the red zone, executing in the red zone, because Pittsburgh's defense is really good. So when you have opportunities to score, you need to be able to score against them. And so we'll be able to see how this Zach Robinson look offense looks in the red zone. That's somewhere Arthur Smith failed in his tenure here in Atlanta. So for him to be able to come out there, execute in the red zone, run the football, and execute the plays that are being called will be big, big keys. And obviously, underrated key or underrated storyline offensively is how this offensive line hold up in the passing game against Pittsburgh's pass rush, especially TJ Watt.
Go. Yeah.
Especially, this is the first time in 2 years you haven't had a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
So you can't expect someone to run out of it. Kurt's going to be he'll move around, but we know he's not going to sit here and have wheels and take off.
Right. Correct. Excellent point. I think the key is going to be McGarry and Warner. And, it also depends on if they move TJ Watt around, because he's typically they don't. I think in 90% of his games up to this point, they haven't moved him around. So clearly either he or they don't like that. But to the extent that they do, we have to be prepared to adjust for that. So that's one of the keys for me. The other is, and I think Kurt will do this, but let's spread the ball around, right? Let's get Kyle involved early. Let's get Drake involved early. Let's get Mooney involved early. Let's get the running game going. I think other teams run in order to pass. Do you think that this team could possibly pass in order to run? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's definitely possible. Like I said, because I think, like I said, they're going to do a lot more screens, and I think they're going to do a lot more things to get guys in space. So I think that could be an extension, or some people like to say those are extensions of run plays sometimes. I think because you kind of have an offense now for the first time in a couple of years where you can just bombs away from the get-go and find success. And then you have the defense on their heels because they're thinking they got to get ready for another pass, and then that's when you run downhill with Tyler Algier and Bijan. So over the last 2 years, you kind of had to run the football because you weren't that effective in the passing game. Yeah. So I think with Kirk, you're able to kind of, throw the football, because in Minnesota, there were times where they didn't run the football a lot and they basically a Kirk Cousins game, and they won games like that.
Yeah, they did.
So I think that they'll definitely be able to pass and then set up the run that way, which, because also with what they say they want to use Bijan as, he'll probably be included in that too. So it's like, oh, you're having to deal with him out of the backfield. Now he's coming downhill at you.
Yeah.
to do different threats.
I think that this Falcons lineup is a very versatile one, especially with Bijan being able to catch and run and do everything. I think he's a Swiss Army knife, and I really feel like he's going to help you in certain formations be able to disguise what your intentions are. So I feel good about that. I really feel good about this offense. Again, if we can give Kirk some time, and he doesn't need all day, just because he quick decision maker, but if we can give him enough time, I think we can have a good day. Let's get the running game going, and let's see where we are. So on to the defensive keys of the game, and I think this is big as well. I know that one of their offensive linemen that they were counting on is hurt, is injured, should give us an opportunity to get after it. My question to you is, being that Anyamata and Grady are both coming back from injury, do you think they are on a pitch count for this game?
I think for David, definitely not. I think he'll be fine. He'll be ready to go. Brady's the one coming off the more severe injury. Um, I know they've kind of been easing his workload
Okay.
through camp and kind of ramping it up. I the thing about that comment too is that the Falcons D line is probably the deepest part of their team.
Yeah.
So there also could be there's no need for Grady to play a crazy amount of snaps because
Right.
you have a lot of depth on that D line.
You got a lot of depth.
So I think from that perspective, I mean, I wouldn't call it a pitch count. I'd maybe just call it natural snap count. They probably are going to have Grady in on money downs. He'll start. Uh, I could see him in pass rushing packages being out there. And so it's going to be interesting again with the deepness of the D line and how Jimmy Lake looks at things, what his snap count's going to be. But I don't think he'll probably, in terms of defensive linemen, still play one of the higher snap counts for guys that play across the line.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing. Um, so I guess my next question is, what are your keys for defense? Keys for the secondary, keys for the linebacking core, um, keys in general. Like what are your gotta haves in order to secure this win?
Well, my first gotta have is if Justin Fields does indeed end up starting, you got to be able to contain him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You
That's a
know,
very good point.
because one thing is that people like literally last year we played Justin Fields and he beat us with his arm and legs, and when he was with the Bears. And so if you're the Falcons, you don't want to repeat of that. As much as we think Arthur Smith sucks, and as much as we think Pittsburgh don't have weapons, at the end of the day,
Uh,
at the end of the day, Justin Fields, he there's a reason why people don't want to give up on him. He
yeah,
does have talent. He does have skill.
yeah, he does. He does.
So you got to be able to contain him. Got to. Russell runs to pass. Justin will take it and go.
Yeah,
And so it's a different mindset you have to account for if you're Atlanta. So you got to be able to contain him. That goes from the defensive line, not letting him get outside the pocket, to the linebacker spying. I'm sure if he does start, they may have a spy. I would think that could potentially be Troy Anderson because he's the fastest out of all the linebackers. So if we needed to get into a foot race, I would trust Troy to be able to potentially make up ground against Justin Fields. And then even from the secondary, obviously, you have to be disciplined. You're going to see a guy running and think, do I come off my man and go after him? But you got to think about your coverage. Okay, do I have someone on the back who maybe can fill in for me? Or is it just me and I just got to stay and then
yeah,
wait till he crosses the line of scrimmage and go for him? So that would be one of my big keys there. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, getting after the passer, being able to create pressure, making Justin Fields uncomfortable. Doing that will definitely help Falcons, especially with just Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons being two of the smartest safeties in the game. You create the quarterback pressure in his face, you make him have to make quick decisions. I believe in their IQ to see the game and see the field. They can take advantage of that and create turnovers. I think the Falcons could actually get a few turnovers in this game if they're able to execute that completely and everything. And then just really overall with the linebackers, just be consistent. Everybody brings their own skill set. Kate Nellis is kind of the Swift Army
mm,
knife. Nate Landman, we know he can diagnose plays and create and disrupt. Troy Anderson is the big wild card here. We know about his athleticism. Is he going to be more effective as a coverage linebacker? Is he going to be more effective in the blitz? Is he gonna be another Swiss Army knife? So I
Mhm.
think for those guys, just being consistent, and shoot, we might even see JD Bertrand at times. Who knows? Captain America himself.
In America,
So
yeah.
exactly. So I think overall, I think those would be my big things defensively for this team when going against Pittsburgh this weekend.
No. Over under Falcons safeties, 10 interceptions this year combined.
Um, that's actually interesting. Because it's funny because 10 interceptions actually is a lot for a duo. People don't, just because it's not like we have everybody getting 7, 8 interceptions every year. So I think
Right.
Falcons. I think Jesse led us in interceptions with like I forget how many exactly he had, but like I think he led us in interceptions. I'd say can I go even? Can I go even 10?
Even 10's fine.
Even 10. Yeah, I'll go even 10. I think you could get a 5 apiece or like a 6-4 maybe. It kind of depends on the roles they're playing because they both can do. I think Jesse Bates is the better ball hawk out of the two, but obviously Justin Simmons can make plays on the ball as well. So I would think Bates there's a good chance he'll still lead us in interceptions this year, but Justin Simmons is definitely going to make some plays as well. So I'll go even 10, which I think is still good if both of your safeties are creating turnovers for your defenses. And that's just them. We're not even talking about the corners, the linebackers, and the defensive line. So, I think that would be a good thing for sure to kind of, you know, be able to be disruptive and be like, all right, we throw it on these safeties, ball hawks, make a quarterback second guess decision he's trying to make.
Agreed. I'm going to say over. I'm going to be bold and say over. Bryce, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to be bold and say over. And I feel that way because I think this defensive line is going to get extreme pressure starting with this first game. I say we get at least one interception, maybe two. You know,
Mm.
especially if you got Justin and if you can rattle him a little bit, you can grab some interceptions. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna say I'm gonna say two interceptions in this game, two turnovers. Um, and yeah, I'm excited about it. So we've covered the offensive keys, we've covered the defensive keys. Um, what do you feel good about this game?
Um, I think I feel good about. Honestly, I feel good about getting a win.
Okay.
I feel good about that actually. But in terms of just like actually more in depth, I feel good about Kurt. I feel good about him coming back first game since telling the Achilles, playing and kind of showing us if he can reach that level he played at before he got injured in Minnesota. Because people forget he had 18 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in 6 games, I believe, before he got hurt. So he was averaging basically 3 touchdowns a game, which that's 21 points right there. So I'd say I feel pretty good about Kirk Cousins coming into this game and kind of just showing us why under Kevin O'Connell he was playing at a really high level as a quarterback and being able to continue that here in Atlanta, which then obviously leads to opportunities and moments for guys like Kyle Pitts, for guys like Bijan, for guys like Drake London, and I like to call underrated in the receiving core, Darnell Mooney as well. So feel really good about Kurt this Sunday.
I feel great about this Sunday. I feel great about Kyle this Sunday. I feel great about Drake this Sunday. I feel great about Bijan this Sunday. Hell, I feel good about the entire team. There's not anybody I don't feel good about. Um, and that's being honest. I really
Mm-hmm.
do. I feel good about that. I don't have any ambiguity about it. I think we'll win the game. What concerns you? And you kind of alluded to it, but what concerns you most about this game?
I mean, I mentioned the Justin Fields two-way dynamic factor. Just being able to contain that. Obviously, Falcons have had a history of not being great against running quarterbacks. I always say sometimes it's hard to be great against running quarterbacks because I mean they're just going to be able to do things that that obviously a normal pocket passer can't do. So obviously just being able to contain him. I'm curious to know, like I said, about the offensive line versus the Steelers' defensive line. Because this is definitely when you play Pittsburgh, it's always a line of scrimmage type of game.
Yes.
They regardless of what else they got going on,
Yeah.
if they disrupt you on their defensive line, that'll disrupt the entire game plan. Because Pittsburgh likes playing ugly games.
Yes,
They
they do.
play a lot of ugly games where it's
What?
just
Yes, they
like
do.
17-14, like you're struggling whoever gets to 21 first. Like
And
it's not they're not a splashy up and down team.
yeah,
All right. And so the Falcons, obviously, this is a great opportunity for them to show that they are a physical football team and that they have a certain toughness that maybe even you would think Arthur Smith, someone who you think is a tough minded coach, would provide to a team. Showing it against one of the toughest teams in the league would be a big statement, I would think. So if they could match Pittsburgh or out tough Pittsburgh, then I'm good. But if they don't, I'm worried how that impacts because if they dominate the line of scrimmage, that affects the running game, that affects Kirk, that affects what they want to do offensively. And how do they adjust to that? Because they may feel like if it's 14-17, we still have a chance. We feel great about our chances because all we need is one drive. We just
yeah,
need one good drive and we can win that game.
yeah, yeah. My concern is that defensive line. And before I go any further, I just want to say hello to some folks. Obviously, Michael in the chat. How you doing? Welcome. A1 Chris, A1 from day one, forever. Welcome. Guys, Chris did my video that premiered today and a lot of my video work. He's officially my video guy. And if you don't have him, you need him. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Dude is awesome. Deke is in the chat. Deke, how you doing, man? Hopefully all is well. Yeah, man. So yeah, my concern is the defensive line and specifically TJ Watt and keeping Kirk vertical. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's my main concern. Other than that, I'm not too worried about it. I feel like whatever storm we got to take, we can handle. Again, I feel like because they're missing an offensive lineman, because we're raring to go, because we're chomping at the bits and we're at home, I think we get this game. I do. Now, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I very much feel like this game is ours. So, with that being said, we're going to go to takeaways. Bryce, what's the impact of the season if the Falcons win or if they lose?
I think it's kind of a weird situation because we already know how tough the stretch is at the beginning of the season. But I feel like people feel like Pittsburgh is the most beatable / we should win game out of it. So obviously, if they lose, I think it will definitely deflate some people a little bit and make people kind of be like, all right, are we back, or are we really, or are we the same old Falcons?
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, if they win, then you're like, great start. We're 1-0. Obviously, Eagles are playing about to play here in a minute. That's our week 2 opponent, Monday Night Football prime time in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
So, it's always good to start the season off with a win just because of it builds excitement. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like we're at a good start. Obviously, you can lose this game and still have a playoff run. But for this game particularly, it's just good to get off on track, ease any concerns or questions that you have had about this team going into the season, and just making the necessary adjustments needed once you get out of this game as well. I mean, it's just the first game, so it's not the end all be all, but you definitely want to get off to a good start just because it helps set the tone and helps create good vibes within the team, within the fan base as well for the upcoming games and the season ahead.
Good deal, man. Good deal. Mike, Chris, A1, Deke, Carey. If we lose game one, how are you feeling? Are you worried? Is the season over? All right. So Carrie put her concern in here. Carrie, our productionist from One Time for the Fan. No disrespect to any other podcaster, but Carrie's the best in the business to me. Okay, she's great, and we wouldn't be where we are without her. Carrie says, my concern is TJ Watt versus McGarry and containing Fields. Was hoping we were facing Wilson since he's less mobile. Agreed. Agreed. That's one of my concerns as well. If we lose this game, it's okay in my eyes. Number one, we did not play the entire preseason, and I don't care what anybody says. There'll be a little bit of rust. Things happen in the first season that are weird. I mean, excuse me, in the first game that are weird. So if we lose, obviously I wouldn't like it because I've talked so much
Mhm.
trash at work. I'm gonna hear, I'm gonna have to hear the mouths of some of my coworkers. But I'm not really worried if we lose. If we win, great. Okay. Personally, I think we're going to beat the dog snot out of the state of Pennsylvania. I said it. I meant it. I'm here to represent it. We're going to go into Philadelphia and kick their arse. Okay. There. Got a hot take right here. Michael says, not concerned. It's just Ra hooking up Tomlin since he's under more pressure and drama. Okay. I can dig it. Uh, Bryce. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get Carrie. Carrie says, thanks, T. Will. Hey, Bryce. Great show, guys. Thank you, Carrie.
So what's up?
Bryce, with the Falcons' first four game of the season being against potential playoff teams, what are the must wins in your eyes in the first four games?
Um, I guess the first and the last.
Okay.
I think Philly and Chiefs are more of where are we games.
Yeah,
They're like, okay. And here's the thing: it's early in the season, so what you are in September is not what you're going to be in December.
that's true. That's very
So you can only put so much stock into them. But obviously, you want to win the first game. Clearly, you start off the season great, and then you play the Saints. You always want to beat the Saints. Always want to beat the Saints.
beat.
Falcons
Oh,
sweep this division. Falcons sweep this division. They're in a great shape for the
yeah,
division.
yeah.
So I would think those are the most must wins of this game.
Okay.
Obviously, Philly, because Philly is a toss up for a lot of fans. And the Chiefs, probably some fans say we're going to lose that game just because, the defending champs, they've been the best team in the league. You're not going to, you're going to always think, all right, we can compete with them, but can we beat them?
Yeah.
We just saw them play against Baltimore last night. And some people may have came out of that game like, man, they're going to be tough to beat. So,
Good, man. I tell you what, that Chris Jones dude.
yeah,
Sheesh.
this disrupts games.
That dude right there, man.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. But I think first and the fourth game are the most must wins. Coming out of it 2-2, you're probably feeling pretty good going into a softer part of your schedule.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that 100%. I agree with it so much. I'm not even going to spend any more time on it because you're dead on. My friend Jack Spade from One Time for the Fan, my dude, my guy says, "What's going on, y'all? Bryce, what's good? Jack, what is good?" All right, so we are at the part of the show where we're going to ask for some predictions, game predictions. All right, Bryce. Who wins this first game? What's the score? And give me Kirk stats and how many points the defense is going to give up.
Okay. So I think Falcons win.
Okay.
Um, I'll go. I'll go 28-20. I'll
Okay.
go 28-20. I think they get 20 because of garbage time.
Okay.
I think Kirk Cousins throws for 3 tutties. If I'm being
Okay.
honest, 3 tutties.
Okay.
Probably drops back between 35, 40 times, I would think. Maybe, obviously, if it's a good day running the football, probably closer to 30. But, I could see them getting a rhythm and, he's doing his thing. He's balling. You hooping to the guys. But yeah, then obviously the defense letting up 20 points. Which I think is, I always say if you're able to keep a team to below 21 points, you have a chance.
Mm.
Because I feel like that's like the standard. If you don't let them get above 21, you'll have a chance in the game usually. So, which the defense I think was on a run last year where they didn't let up more than 21 points for like a few weeks.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be like brand new territory for this team. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at that, looking at Kurt playing well, throwing 3 touchdowns in his return game. Drake catches one. I think Pitts catches one, and I think Mooney gets one as well.
All right. Good deal. Good deal. Jack says, doing a great job, T. Will. I paid him to say that. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it. Jack also says, I have the score 75-3. Damn, Jack. Okay. Wow. Jack says, Steelers kick field goal with 10 seconds left in the game. Damn. 75-3. I'd like to think we'd see Mr. Penix. Carrie, don't you say it. Carrie, don't you say it. Don't you drop it in there, Carrie. Carrie has this saying that we all know. And if she does, I'm going to have to drop a pause on you. Okay. So I'm going to say 20. I'm going to say 28-17. I agree. Kirk throws for 350. I'm going to say 2 touchdowns. Bijan gets another 2. And the last touchdown is garbage time, and they get it in. And yeah, that's how I feel about that. So that's what we're gonna go with that. All right. So Bryce, who wins the NFL? Who wins the NFC South? And what's the record of the team that does?
I think Falcons win the NFC South. I think 12-5.
Okay.
12-5. I'll go a little higher. 12-5.
Okay.
For them, I think they'll get on a run for sure, and that's when they really create separation. Especially, this is me again predicting they'll sweep the division.
Okay.
So if they do that, they'll be in great shape. I would think to win this. I mean, they'll have all the tiebreakers, so they just gotta have a better record, or at least the same record in their end.
That's a good point. How far can this team ultimately go in your eyes, and why?
I mean, I think the ceiling is whatever this team wants it to be.
Okay.
Because I mean, if you think about the last time we made the Super Bowl, I mean, did we come out of an 8-8 season going into that next year thinking we're going to be a Super Bowl team?
We did not. We
So
did not. We did not.
So I mean, for me, it's if things line up, they get the right matchups. Shoot, luck happens. Maybe you get some key injuries to the other teams that you play. Sounds like you could be a Super Bowl team. It's not like this isn't a team that I feel like, oh yeah, there's definitely a ceiling on this team. Like there's no way. Like no, like NFC, pretty much you know who you got to go through. 49ers.
Yeah.
That's the team. You got to beat them.
Yeah.
And then obviously, the Lions are a team also to keep out. You have a lot of good, nice teams in the NFC that you have to get through.
Mm-hmm.
But like the team you have to get through is the reigning NFC champions, which is the 49ers.
Agreed.
So you got to be prepared to potentially have to play in San Francisco NFC championship game unless you're able to get home field. Or the 49ers have a less than appealing season that they were supposed to have. And no, like we got to beat these guys if we're going to take that next step. And even, like I said, even Detroit too, because they beat you last year in the NFC championship game as well. So they can do that. I think there's a very good chance they can make the Super Bowl this year and represent the NFC in New Orleans. So, which would be fun.
That would be great. That would be to win the Super Bowl in New Orleans would be poetic justice. The only thing that would be better is if we won it 28-3. And if our receivers ran all slants, shout out to Michael Thomas. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So in this first game, and guys in the chat, if you think the Falcons will win 12 games or more, drop a 1 in the chat. If not, drop a 2. If you think the Falcons will win 12 games or more, drop a 1. If not, drop a 2. Again, this is How About Those Falcons at For My ATL Sports 1. Please like, share, and subscribe. All right. So you and I had a little fun before the podcast, and we said we were going to pick who the player of the game was. I'm gonna go first, right? Because
Mhm.
your answer kind of threw me. So I'm gonna go first, and I'm gonna say that my player of the game is gonna be Mr. Kirk Cousins. That's my quarterback, y'all. That's my To impersonation. And on defense, it's gonna be Mr. Jesse Bates and Mr. Justin Simmons. Mama, here goes those men again. All right, now there goes those men. Whatever. Uh, Bryce, player of the game and why? Because yours kind of threw me a little bit. So kind of explain to us where you were going with that, if you don't mind.
I'm bad. Um, to be honest with you, I don't even remember who I said. Um,
Right, my bad. I didn't mean to put you
no,
on the spot.
you good, you good,
So,
you good, you good.
so when I asked, right, you said the quarterback of the Steelers, and I think you meant if it's Justin Simmons, it's probably going to be a tougher day. Is that where you were going with it?
Oh, Justin Fields, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I said it'd probably be a tougher day.
yeah. I think you were saying if we got old man Russ, we can probably get back there and maybe take father time down a two or three or four times. But if it's Justin, you gotta be a little more on your toes. And
Mm.
scrambling quarterbacks are death to zone defenses because they can run around long enough for a guy to get open. So I get what you're saying. Um, I hope that's not the case. I think that I think the Falcons will win this game, and not because Mike Tomlin is not a great coach, not because Arthur Smith doesn't suck. And let me take a step back. I think Arthur Smith will have a good season this year. And I'm not defending Arthur Smith. I'm simply saying that when you graduate from the ranks of offensive coordinator to head coach, the realm of responsibility is a quantum leap, right? It's not even close to what you have to do as an offensive coordinator to what you have to do for a head coach. And some of these things you have to be able to delegate. You got to know who to delegate to, right? You got to know who you can trust to do certain tasks that you would normally do and who you can't. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a late comer to the podcast. It is Mr. Chris A1 Tip Moore. Now,
Man,
Enough of that.
Chris,
Chris on here.
how we
what's
doing?
good, family?
All good, man. How you doing?
Man, just moving and shaking around, man. I definitely just had to come on here, show a little love to the fellas. Seeing y'all was doing y'all thing.
I appreciate
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
Yeah, yeah. How
Hey, we
y'all feeling?
always got room for you, Chris.
Hey,
So
I appreciate it.
let me ask you this question. Since
What's
you
that?
joined, I got to get my guy's perspective. Chris, in your
Mhm.
opinion, who's going to be the player of the game? It could be player or
Uh,
you know.
man, it's. I'm sorry, man. It's hard not for me to go with Drake London because I picked him for my X Factor on our show on Wednesday when we was previewing the Steelers and the Falcons. And by the way, shout out to Smitty Birdo, our newest addition, Big Kev. You know what I'm saying, aka Bro Talk. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, man, I got to go with Drake London. On again, I chose him, and I believe that now's the time for him to show that he's the capable number one man. Again, like he's had a games with 172 yards receiving, 128 yards receiving. Like so, the capability to be a number one receiver is there, and people got to remember he did all that and didn't have Kirk Cousins.
Not
Now he has Kirk Cousins, the best quarterback that he has ever had. Yes, I'm including college as well. So
yep.
the best quarterback that he has ever had to get him to football. I expect Drake to, first of all, finally get over 1,000 yards. I'm expecting that. But I'm expecting it not to be on what I'm saying, just to get like barely over 1,000. I'm expecting him to get over 1,100 yards. He has the capability. Kirk Cousins can get him the football. Drake is a big body receiver. Drake is somebody who can, who can basically like post up basketball style, box guys out like a Joey Porter Jr., who I wanna admit, last year, Joey Porter, you know what I'm saying, you really couldn't get a lot of separation from him. He did well. Now I want to see, you know what I'm saying, if he can repeat that. But honestly, I want to see even more if Drake can rattle him. Drake can have a good day on him, show again that he is the number one receiver. I am going to go Drake London. It's time. I know it's time for Kyle Pitts, and I believe Kyle's going to get his touches and everything. But even so, more, I know that Kyle is technically the number one tight end. We got to make sure that we have the number one wide receiver, which we think as Falcon fans that we probably have. It's time for Drake to continue to show. Go ahead, get over 1,000 yards. Go ahead, you know what I'm saying, make a statement in this game, looking on the sideline at Arthur Smith, looking like, yeah, you ain't use me, boy.
We need that stare down image. We need to stare down image. Drake London makes a catch on the Pittsburgh sideline, staring at Arthur Smith.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Wait a minute, that ain't Jack in the chat.
That is my man Jack in the chat. Yes, that's Jack and Kerry.
Okay. Shout out to him. Kerry and Jack, what it do?
Hey man, hey, one thing about one time for the fan, we support each other, man. So it's
Hey
fair.
man.
It's all good. Bryce.
Look at my boy. I see he got the game prediction, who win, got the predictions up to the pie chart. He really ain't coming to play.
Well, you know, I learned from the best. Those of you who know Chris and Bryce, really, I've seen some of Bryce's work. And Bryce, just so you don't think I'm BSing you, I noticed that whenever you change subjects, you can always see it at the bottom of your screen. So I know you do graphics as well. That's something you're famous for. Whenever like you're on subject 1 or subject 2 and you change, I always notice that it changes at the bottom of the screen. So, you know, I'm not just giving you lip service. I watch both of you and you guys both.
That's why Bryce get paid the big bucks, man. That's why right there. Right there.
World, the rest of us are living in it. Bryce and Chris, is this the year that we see two receivers with at least 1,000 yards?
Two Falcon receivers,
Yes.
at least 1,000 yards. I think what the last time we seen that was Julio and Roddy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, now that's tough because when we had Julio and Roddy, and this is before we got Tony, I feel like it wasn't a whole lot of football to go around. So of course you're giving it to them. I feel like this team has more people to get the football to. So it's a possibility. I do believe that it can happen. If it does happen, that lets you know that the Falcons offense is absolutely explosive. And it can't be stopped. You know what I'm saying? So that lets you know that too. In this day and time, especially if Bijan is still getting his touches, Tyler's still getting his touches. If Ray McLeod is starting to make a name for himself, if Darnell Mooney is saying the Bears just didn't know what the hell they were doing, that's what I'm saying. So it's just like, I feel like with this team, we do have it's only one pigskin and we have a lot of weapons. So I believe that it's possible? Absolutely. Well, do I think it will happen? I mean, we just kind of got to see how the course of the season go. We got a lot of weapons. A lot of people got to get their touches, and Kyle Pitts, he got to get his touches. He's in the final year of his contract. I hope they don't try like the force feed, but I do expect him to get a lot of attention just to, for production wise and whatever it is at the end of the season, you're going to get paid accordingly, regardless. So it's possible though. Just answering your question though, it's possible. But it's a lot of mouths to feed. So don't be surprised if it don't happen. Don't be like, oh man, like we only had one guy. Now I'm just saying, as long as everybody is collectively eating and we're winning games, I think that's all we should really care about.
Man, I got 5 mouths to feed. What movie is that from? That's Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Running Man. Man, I got 5 mouths. And he was the feds. He was working for the feds. No, I'm kidding. Bryce, what say you? 2 receivers with 1,000 yards. What are your thoughts?
I kind of gotta agree with Chris. It's gonna be tough with the amount of weapons and the way they might want to do things and give different people the ball. But if they did have 1,000 yards, it would probably be Drake London and Kyle Pitts.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm going.
It would probably be those two if that were to happen. So it's just we don't we don't know what that's going to be. I mean, Kirk throws for like 4,500 yards. I mean, there's a decent chance we could have two, because
Yeah.
especially in this league, passing football. I mean, I'm not, he only, it's funny, if he didn't get hurt, I would feel confident that last year in Minnesota, he would probably have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison both having 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Because Kirk can get the ball to his weapons. He has gotten a lot of receivers paid. So that makes me feel like that can happen. I think if it was, it's going to be Drake. It's going to be Kyle. If it's a big explosive passing year, I think Darnell Mooney might be a close third.
Yeah, I'm gonna say bold prediction, and I make bold predictions all the time, but bold prediction, I'm gonna say Kirk throws for 4,900 yards.
Hey
And
man, if Kurt throws for 4,900 yards, guess what? I'm here for it because did you guys see what they have his over under being as far as like yardage?
no,
They have Kirk Cousins at 3,900 yards.
really,
Yep.
wow, they just
Yep.
keep taking that knife in further and further. It's just they won't let
3,900 yards is what they have for Kirk Cousins. Even though he was well on pace for well over 4,000 last year before he got hurt. But so I guess just him. I guess him coming back this year. I guess it's just not going to happen, huh?
I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what they're thinking. Michael says we are sleeping on money. Shouted.
Mooney.
Yeah,
I don't think we're sleeping on Mooney. I just think it's a contract year for Kyle Pitts. I ain't gonna lie to you. I expect Darnell Mooney to honestly be, if he doesn't mess around and just be like taking over games and end up being the second lead receiver, I can definitely see the third. And the reason why is because Kurt asked for Darnell. You don't ask for a guy and then don't give him the ball. That's just ludicrous.
agreed.
So it's just like, so that's why like Darnell Mooney was requested. Mooney, he reached out to Mooney. He said, "Come on down here to Atlanta and come play with me. I seen your work. I think you're a good receiver. I just think you haven't had the best quarterback play. Come down here and play with me." You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Bryce.
Mooney, I feel like I've always said I think him and Kurt have really good chemistry. You can see it from the training camp. You feel like you always saw a Mooney highlight.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised, even if he doesn't lead in yards, he could lead in catches.
Yeah, and definitely probably even targets.
I could see that.
I'll tell you why I agree with that. Because you're gonna double Drake. Because you're gonna bracket Kyle, especially in the end zone. I would go ahead and predict Mooney probably has more touchdowns than anybody.
He should. He could. I mean, well, he could. He could. Let me change that word. He could.
Potential, right?
As long as he's doing everything that he's supposed to, he could. Absolutely.
Yeah, and let's we not forget, Mooney was technically, according to the metric, the most wide open in the NFL. And honestly, if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm salivating. Like the most, that means he's literally. I know some receivers say they're always open. He's always open. He's the boy got his own money, as Jack always says. He's always open. Literally, he's like Walmart. He's always open.
Well, don't quote me on the exact number, but if I'm not mistaken, I think Mooney averaged at least, I'm gonna say, in between 6 to 8 yards of separation. And they're saying like I don't have none of that stuff in front of me right now, so don't quote me on it. But that's why I'm gonna say between 6 and 8, I think. And it could be a little bit more, could be a little less, but I just know regardless, he was able to get separation. And if he's able to get separation off a receiver, if he get 5 yards off a receiver, that can go to the house, depending on what position and where you at on the field. That can possibly go to the house. So
you hit him in stride, and I mean, dude. Those are Tyreek Hill numbers, right? Like it may get to the point to where you can't double cover everybody, right? That's that.
Yeah, that's one thing you're not going to be able to do. You can't double cover everybody.
Right. So it's our success is really going to come down to I think it's going to come down to McGarry. Can he hold up? the pass, and can he
Jake
help?
too.
I
Jake
think
too.
Jake's a savvy vet. I think Jake will be okay, and honestly, I think McGarry will be okay, especially after seeing that's a big mountain of a man, man.
Yeah.
He's gotta work on those feet, but that's a big dude, man. Like I would not wanna fight. That's a big dude, man.
No,
That's
Caleb is huge, man. Caleb is even bigger than you think. Because
I mean
Caleb is bigger now than what he was last year.
that dude
And I could just seeing him on the sideline, Caleb was a big guy. You know what I'm saying? Caleb has always been a big guy, but seeing him what he looks like now, I
huge.
definitely feel like he's added more muscle.
Yes.
But at the same time, like he's added more muscle, but he's not what can I say? What can I say? He's not like big. He's not like super big, like as in girth, I guess you can say, or
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah.
He's just like he look like he's more solid.
Yeah. He's
Like, he
dude.
just he just looking like he's more solid, and I'm hoping that it translates on the field because again, don't have the numbers in front of me, but maybe one of you guys can help. Ain't this Caleb last year?
I believe you got me there.
I
You got
think he signed an extension last season.
I think he did sign an
Was
extension.
last season?
So
So we got 2 more years and not one more.
I think we have two. And I'm gonna tell
Man,
you why.
somebody.
Because yeah, we do have two because his
Okay,
contract ends right when you would think Penix would take over. Because remember, he would be Penix's blind side. So he definitely
absolutely not.
that because
Ain't gonna lie to you.
I remember
I
that.
ain't gonna lie to you. I like Caleb. I do because I know. eh, Okay, can we be fair, guys? Coming like these guys who coming out of the draft, most of them can do like one thing good, not necessarily both, right? Like you have a lot of these guys coming out like they may be really good in pass pro and maybe okay or decent in running. Like one thing about it, if you want to run the ball, you know that you can depend on Caleb. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. You want to run that ball, you know you can depend on him. Same thing with Lindstrom. The only thing about Lindstrom is good in pass pro too.
he's good at everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that was also Jake Matthews at one point in time too. You can definitely say, man, he can do everything.
Yeah,
So with these guys, you know what I'm saying, they're coming out. Everybody can't be Chris Lindstrom or Jake Matthews. So we gotta, you know what I'm saying, give him some grace to a degree. But I mean, he gonna have to hold up, guys. We got an awesome test because we got Highsmith coming at us. They just re-signed Cam Hayward, who is from Georgia, by the way.
Mhm.
And and they also got TJ Watt.
Mhm.
So this is a great test for the Falcons offense. I just feel like overall, when the game goes on, I believe we can start clicking. I believe we can hit the quick slants, the outs, you know what I'm saying, keep these guys honest.
Yep.
yeah,
So
I'd agree with that for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
we're now at the section of the show called Wilt. What I learned
Okay.
today,
I like
and
it.
what I learned
Oh,
that Russell Wilson may be hurt, and so we may have to deal with Justin Fields. Ironic. And Antonio Hamilton may be injured, and Kevin.
yeah, I don't think Antonio's playing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think one of the Falcons reporter, Mark, he already ruled Antonio Hamilton out for Sunday.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
He was backing up D Alford anyway.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was basically Clark and D's backup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do we think that's going to impact us on game day, or probably not? Like, what are our thoughts around that?
Wait, you talking about Anthony Hamilton being out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Antonio.
No, yeah, my bad. I said Anthony Hamilton. Lord have mercy.
I do it all the time.
No, but Antonio Hamilton, nah, he's like the cornerback 5.
Yep.
I don't think it's gonna benefit. If anything, you can possibly if anything, I'll bring in Natron Brooks. If anything, I know you can possibly say, well, shit, what about Kevin King? Um, Still the guy that was out for 2 years and wasn't seeing football until this year. Natron has been here. Natron has shown. So if you wanted to like bring him up off and then let him play, maybe. But I don't think they're gonna do that either. I think they maybe just have the guys that they want. and they'll probably just slide somebody into that slot. Honestly, um, Russell Wilson. Now, there's a question for you guys. Would you guys rather play Russell or would you rather play Justin?
Right now, I'm gonna say Russell.
Yeah, I say the same thing. I probably play Russell just because, like I said, even though Russell moves around, he's not like a threat with his legs to the same extent.
Mm-hmm. And then also, I know he's dealing with that calf. I seen him this today. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the practice and everything. He did seem like he was trying to take it easy. He wasn't trying to do too much and everything. So I know he's trying to play and whatnot. And but I wouldn't be surprised if we did see Justin Fields, who is more dynamic with his legs, who the best thing he can do is with his legs. But it's just I don't want just. I remember what Justin did with the Bears. I know there's no DJ Moore, but they do have a George Pickens. And then like after that, I know it's kind of like a nice drop off. But regardless, you can't sleep on none of these guys, man. You got to go out there and you got to compete. It's going to be some new wrinkles on both ends. You got to iron those out. But as long as the Falcons take care of business, I think we can finally go ahead and take care of these Steelers at home. Because the last 15 years with Mike Tomlin just been, my goodness, this ain't been good.
Let's kill the narrative. Let's kill the
Yeah,
narrative.
man. We
I
have to, man. It's time. It's
yeah.
time.
This team is too talented. I don't think. I think we're gonna win this game. I'm not saying it's gonna be like my boy Philip says, and we're gonna beat them 35-10. I'm not saying that because Philip says that about every. Philip is low key, maybe related to us because he reminds me of my brother Eric Parker, where you ask Eric how many games are gonna win, and he'll be like, all of them. I don't plan to lose ever, and I'm like, Eric, nobody plans to lose, but that whole undefeated thing hadn't been done in some years, bro. I don't care. I don't plan to lose. All of them. Every year, we have the same argument at the beginning of the season. We'll have it again because I'll ask him, Eric, what are we going? He'll go 17-0. And I'll go, no, we won't, Eric. You got to be realistic. 12-5. And he's like, we make our own reality. And it's a whole thing. So, Eric, wherever you are, bro, love you. We're not going to go 17-0. He will call me later and curse me out because that's what brothers do. We rag on each other. That's what we do. All right, so guys, I have a special announcement in regards to a member or a new member of our team here at For My ATL Sports One. Ms.
Yeah.
Lisa Shepard, a journalist for Blog and Dirty, is going to our podcast. Okay.
Hey, Miss Lisa, that's a great addition right there, man.
I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of her. I'm excited. We've been talking about this thing for quite a while. Looks like we're gonna make it happen.
And shout out to Miss Lisa, man.
Definitely gets at it. Lisa's always traveling. Lisa's very positive. That's one of the things I love. One of the many things I love about her. Always positive. An idea reservoir. What about this and what about that? And I'm going crazy writing it down. So I'm just really excited about it. Can't wait. The name of our show is going to be ATL with TNL Falcon Sport Talk. Sports. Yeah. It's going to be Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Now, there is a little link to this, and that is, Lisa is busy, obviously traveling the world and doing other things, so she may not be here every Friday. So to the extent that she's not, we won't do ATL Falcon Sports Talk. We'll do How About Those Falcons. So they'll kind of intertwine. Okay. That's kind of the way it is, not to confuse anybody, but I just think that Lisa's such a special person. Well, we named the show after she and I, so I'm not going to cheat when she's not here. That's just me.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to expanding to your show, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure the people are gonna come again. You know what I'm saying? You do good content. Lisa does good content. Well, she does good writing and everything too. She's smart and everything as well. Like I am totally behind the show.
Yeah. So
100%, man. Congratulations for that, for sure.
thank you, appreciate that. So one of the things that'll be a little different about the show, is there will be times where Lisa may do a story, okay,
Mm-hmm.
feature it on the show, right? Like I'm just gonna give you a teaser. There
Okay.
is one episode where she's going to interview a fan who got a tattoo after the Falcons lost the Super Bowl. Now that's dedication. Okay. That could
Oh, okay.
y'all remember 28-3. You know,
Yeah.
some folks were
Mhm.
contemplating suicide. Goodbye, cruel world. You know what I mean? And bro, to have the chutzpah, the wherewithal, the intestinal fortitude to buckle down and say, I'm gonna get a tattoo. Yes, I'm hurting. Probably a
Yeah.
little. I don't know. I don't know if she was drunk or not.
Yeah. That take. I guess that takes a little cojones to do that.
That's a set of stones.
Yeah.
That's a set of stones. So I thought that was interesting. So she's gonna interview that. Um, and it's just one of the things that's gonna kind of make our show a little different. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited for where we can go, what we can build, what we can develop. And of course, you guys both are free to come back anytime you'd like, right? So I'm just throwing that
Well,
out there. I respect both of you gentlemen, appreciate both of you gentlemen for coming. Um, and so now I'm going to do my shout outs. First and foremost, thank you to Bryce.
my
And
bad, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. I just seen something, man. Philly fans are crazy. You know how Green Bay has the cheese heads.
yeah,
So this Philly fan made his own cheese head out of the Philadelphia cream cheese.
wow.
Mm, 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 mm.
That,
Ah,
that's
woo.
that,
These folks are crazy.
that I mean that I don't even know what to say to that, bro. Like I mean,
Like
like
you go on Twitter, you go on Twitter, you will see it. Dude, Holmes, he going viral right now for yeah, that's his cheese head though. He come in with his own cheese head.
I
I'm
don't
like, hey,
I don't even know what to say to that, man. I know that I'm looking forward to this game. Chris, let me ask you this question.
hmm,
We come out of the first four games, and by the way, the first four defenses we're going to see are probably going to be really good defensive lines. Really good defensive
yeah.
lines. Steelers got a good.
You seen Chris Jones last night?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that dude is that dude gives me nightmares, man. I'll be honest with you. The Chiefs are the one team that I got a little bit of fear of. I don't fear Philadelphia, and they may have a great squad, but they had a meltdown last year too.
Mm-hmm.
They have pressure too. You better believe that coach was two steps away from being fired last year. So they come out 0-3, 0-4. There could be repercussions. There's pressure on that coach. There's pressure on that defense. Also, and somebody brought this up, their center retired. So what's
Yeah,
that? They run the tush push.
one
You
of the
know
best centers in the world.
right.
One
Mm-hmm.
of the best centers to touch the gridiron, and Jason Kelsey has retired.
Right. You
So
you
yeah,
don't
we won't see.
you don't know how effective that's going to be anymore. You don't know how effective because the center was the center of the tush push. He's gone. So you don't know if that play is going to work. I say that to say that Philadelphia is not a given to be great. Do I think they're going to suck? No, I don't. I don't. I don't think they're going to be cellar dwellers. But they have a lot
Nah,
of pressure on them. And look, it's the beginning of the season. Falcons could go in there and get them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Falcons can definitely get Pittsburgh. They can go in there and get Philly. You beat Kansas City, you're on to something. Okay,
I
you beat
agree.
City,
Especially if Kansas City, especially if you both coming in undefeated and
yeah,
you beat them. I'm
yeah,
sorry. Like, I mean, the media, if it's not definitive, they'll look for an excuse. Oh, Mahomes didn't do this or whatever, But it really would be
Did
a
the
great
Falcons win or
victory.
the Chiefs lose?
That's exactly what it's gonna be, and they're gonna be trying to home on over the Chiefs loss. But I know we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I will admit the Chiefs did look good last night.
That de-
And how much of a blessing is it in disguise to be able to see both of the teams that you have to play next before you even play a game?
it's a definite blessing.
So, like take that into consideration as well on being able to see back to back nights your next two opponents after your
Mm-hmm.
first one.
That's a
So
good point. That's a very
yeah, man.
um
That I feel like that's beautiful because us fans, even I'm pretty sure the coaches are doing it too. Because so you always got to start game planning. It's never too early, I believe, to start game planning. But at the same time, it's just beautiful just to have that for us fans to get to look at Kansas City and to see how they use Isaiah Worthy, something that we're gonna have to be worried about. To see that Rashid Rice is not missing a beat. He is still that chain moving, playmaking yak getter that he was last year. You know what I'm saying? Travis Kelsey is always going to be on the field and always going to be a weapon. So it's just like it's great to see that. Great to see that defense. You've seen Chris Jones getting after it. You see Trent McDuffie, somebody who I absolute love at the corner position, and honestly, like he's still playing great even without L'Jarius Sneed, which I already knew he was a great corner anyway. Like you've seen that, and then tonight you get to see the Eagles and what they do, what kind of schemes, what kind of coverages they're going to go after, and kind of get in a mindset and a mind frame of just what they may run against us. So it's a beautiful thing. Take that in.
Yep.
let me ask you guys this question. Is Andy Reid at the point where he's challenging Belichick? He's got three. I think Bill has six. Well, Bill has eight, but six as a head coach. Andy's been five Super Bowls. He's got three rings. If he wins another one, or right now, right? Because honestly, the difference in Kansas City has got to be coaching. He won two Super Bowls with very great offenses. Last year, I don't care what anybody says, that defense was the straw that stirred the drink, and the offense came
Absolutely,
for the ride. Um,
absolutely, I believe that.
Mhm.
with all that being said, is Andy Reid is he challenging Belichick, or is Belichick in a world by himself? And Bryce, we'll start with you. What do you say about that?
I mean, I still go Belichick, but I think for Andy, he's had a lot of success. He's had a lot of wins because the difference for him is he's having this success later in his coaching career.
Hmm.
So he already had. He was already known as a really good coach. He just never won a Super Bowl.
Right.
We know about his offensive play calling, his offensive just ability to always come up with new things consistently. Sometimes offensive guys they are creative and then they get stale because they just keep sticking to the same stuff and then eventually the league keeps up. Andy always evolves,
Yep.
always tries to evolve and work with any type of players, systems that he has. And that's why the Chiefs have been so successful and why Patrick and him have been such a great match. If he wins another one, I think you got to start discussing it. Definitely. Because I feel like Andy won't, at least unless something happens, he won't retire until Mahomes retires.
Hmm.
And Mahomes is still in his 20s. So if it's Chiefs get a couple more Super Bowls. I mean, he could be where Brady is in a few years if they continue to move forward like this. So I think one more, and you can start having that discussion, and you can start being like, all right, is Andy Reid to go? But until that, he's creeping his way up and getting closer every time they win a Super Bowl, every time they have another great season, every time they continue to be great. Because Chiefs right now are on a Patriot like run right now.
Yeah,
They
they
are.
are. Well, okay. I agree with Bryce. Well, from the standpoint that I'm still going Belichick for sure. I mean, six is six. You know what I'm saying? I know you got eight, but I'm just saying like you still get that. But I will say this for Andy Reid: if and for those who, just to Bryce's point too, for those who maybe started watching football, I guess after like 2015, yeah, Andy Reid didn't just start coaching. He didn't just get a coaching job. Go back and look at Philadelphia Eagles, and yeah, he was the head coach for them too, and had success. Didn't win a Super Bowl, but He had success with them. If Andy can win this year, I think you have to start putting him in the GOAT conversation only because winning three in a row, y'all. That winning three in a row, that has just not been done.
Yeah, that's never been done.
That's just not have been done since the Super Bowl era.
No,
So,
no. I don't think it's ever been done. Oh,
well,
you're saying
you remember back in the '60s, I believe, from like '62 to '65 or something like that,
was it the Packers that did that?
if I'm not mistaken. So that's what I'm saying. Like you before, that's why I said since the Super Bowl era,
Okay.
it has, I said no one has won three in a row.
Yeah, you're right.
So if Andy and the Chiefs are able to do that this year, and God forbid, hopefully they don't, because the Falcons have a competitive team this year. But what I'm saying, but or at least on paper, what I'm saying, they have a competitive team this year. But I'm just saying, how can you not when this man was able to accomplish something that nobody in the modern era has been able to do?
Yeah.
So that's why if he's able to, and these Chiefs are able to do it, uh, you gotta consider him. It's just like I know Belichick still has more, but you gotta like start mentioning Andy Reid more than what we do now.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think Andy's figured it out. I think his coaching staff, specifically Steve Spagnuolo or whatever.
Yeah, Spagnola.
Yeah, I think he deserves a lot of credit. I think he deserves a lot of credit. What he's done with that defense the past couple of years, especially them winning when they let what's his name, Tyreek walk away. I mean, that's just phenomenal. You know what I mean? I mean, so I
Right.
personally, there are some in the league, um, Shady McCoy, who hate Belichick. I mean, I don't know that he's come out and said it, but if you listen to anything, okay, you know what? Let me not put words in the man's mouth. He seems to not like him. Is that a fair statement? He seems to really feel like Tom Brady was the straw that stirred that drink. And if you look at it, since Brady left, Bill didn't get another one. Bill descended rapidly. Now I'm not attacking Bill Belichick. That's not what I'm saying. And the only way we could find out is, maybe if Pat Mahomes leaves and Andy Reid wins another Super Bowl, maybe we could say that. But I say all of that to say that there are some who are not convinced that Belichick was the greatest coach of all time. I mean, you got Deflategate, you got the issue with the Rams, you got things, little bitty things that come up. Now, again, the man has 8 Super Bowls. Okay. Bill Parcells did not win a ring without Bill Belichick. So I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's clearly a superior head coach. But if Andy gets one more and we start talking, I don't know. It's interesting, fellas. That's my thoughts. So
Yeah, that's why I say you're gonna have to start mentioning them more. But like honestly, it'll start turning into a two-man race, just like how it is. How people are saying, "Oh, can Mahomes catch Brady?" It'll be like, "Okay, can Reed catch Belichick?" This is exactly what it's going to turn into
I mean,
because they'll both have four. Then
yeah, I think I mean that's I don't know, man. Look, hopefully this won't happen this year, but if they win 3 in a row and that's never been done, does that push Andy closer? Like, let's say Andy only gets 5, but he gets 3 in a row. Is that equivalent, or do you have to get that 6th one? Like, how do you
I
feel?
mean, to be the goat all time, I think you still at least have to at least tie. So you can be in that situation. I mean, of course, you get 7. Of course, you solo, but at least get 6. What I'm saying, you can definitely have that conversation on who was the better coach and all that stuff like that. But just even having 3 in a row again, you have to consider him as one of the best to do it, just because. really the only consistence outside of Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelsey, you know what I'm saying, I guess really is like Andy Reid and Stagnolo. So it's just like, man, they don't have some Chris Jones. But you know what I'm saying? But they've had like turnover here and there. Not everybody has been there for the Super Bowl runs,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, in its entirety.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Outside of like some of the names I just named. So it's just like, a couple offensive linemen, so it just that's tough not to consider him if they win 3 in a row.
All right. Last question, and then I'll let you guys out here. I know I keep saying last question. I cannot think, with the exception of Bill Walsh, who I think started with the 49ers. I can't think of a coach that had a great deal of success that started with it. Well, there was Jimmy Johnson, but a lot of coaches start somewhere and then they succeed somewhere else. So Belichick started with the Browns, he failed, then he came back, he was great. Andy started with the Eagles, not that he failed, but he never reached the summit, and he goes to Kansas City and he makes it. Why do you guys think that is? Like what is it about that initial first team that causes most guys to fail? Like why do you think that is? Do you think in most cases you have to experience that to be great, or what do you guys think about that? I know how I feel about it, and it ties into Raheem, but I'm gonna throw it out there to you guys. Like, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I think for me, I think what happens is that it's hard to be a coach in this league.
Yes.
And I think sometimes when you get that job for the first time, you kind of come into it and thinking, oh, I know exactly what I want to do here to win.
Hey, I just
I was under my last coach or last couple of coaches, and I've seen how they done it. So I'm gonna just do that. Some guys like to try to emulate guys they were under instead
Yeah.
of kind of being yourself. You can take things and ideas from a coach or coaches, but
Yeah.
you can't try to carbon copy it. That's why a lot of people under the Belichick tree failed because they tried to be Belichick
there you go.
and not themselves. You could take some things from Belichick, but you can't be him. You cannot just have the exact same system as him. And so I think coaches go through that period where they fail and then they get into another job and think, okay, what did I do wrong? It's like you have to have like an honest conversation with yourself. What did I do wrong? What like I would be a coach in that situation where I asked for feedback from other coaches. Well, what do you think I did wrong? Just so then that way you can understand, and then you work your way back up. You're coming back into that process of trying to get another job in a more humble state of like, if I want a job again, I have to go through this again. I have to grind again. I have to be a coordinator, whatever, a coach again, and work with these guys. And then now I think you have more of a wide open lens to the world of coaching that you may have not had that first time.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
obviously Raheem's situation, it was different. He was, I think at the time, the youngest head coach ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was about to
So-
say, boy, you sound like you talking Raheem Morris comeback story.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So like, yeah, like it's just one of those things where, that's why he's talked about how he's learned so much over just, especially with the Rams. The Rams seem to have really impacted him
Yes.
when he was there, seeing how McVay was. McVay's one of those guys who was lucky to be a first time coach and have success.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's trying to emulate some of those things, but at the same time, he's not Sean McVay and he's not trying to be Sean McVay. He just says these are certain things, certain foundations that I saw with the Rams that I think we need here in Atlanta to build success.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for any coach that goes into that situation, it's about finding, well, okay, what are just the main principles, regardless of team building?
Mm-hmm.
Just like what do we need for this team to be great? What are we looking for? And then you establish identity. Are you a tough? Are you finesse? Are you fast? Are you quick? Are you is it strategistic? What is it? And then you try to have a coaching staff around you that fits you and fits your mindset and things of that nature, especially with all the relationships you make as a coach in this game. So I think it's one of those things where you just kind of, you're able to take a reflective approach when you get that second job and kind of just be like, okay, what did I do wrong? Because that's why every time a coach gets a second job and he fails, Usually he just repeats his first mistakes, and that means he didn't learn
Hmm.
from those mistakes.
Hmm.
Excellent, excellent, excellent explanation.
You you hit on so many topics, Chris. I'm going to shut up because I did ask it to the panel, but that was an excellent answer. Chris, go ahead, sir.
No, it was an excellent answer. Really, he outlined everything, a lot of points that I was going to mention. But okay, for you, just for you, my guy T Will, because I know that you remember this show. It's just like almost like and this is also to cater to Bryce's point about how people tried to emulate Belichick.
Yeah.
It's just like that old show. Remember A Living Color?
Yep.
Remember how when the Wayans left and it was never the same?
Right. 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 Good point. Very good
You know
point.
what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like it's like as far as like that Belichick thing, like you can take everything. He can give you all the sauce, all the flavor, all the seasoning, but you're still not Belichick.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? You're not Bill Belichick. You're a different person. You're Scott Patricia or you're Josh McDaniels or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Like he gave you all the sauce, yeah, but you still can't make the flavor. You still can't prepare the food like how he did.
Yeah.
And again, like he just like Bryce just illustrated it wonderful because like you do have some guys that may have to go from head coaching to have to be a coordinator, and then you have some guys who are lucky like Andy Reid to be able to go from being a head coach to what I'm saying straight into another head coaching gig. Like not everybody gets that. You better ask Dan Quinn. Shoot, ask our head coach right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's a humbling thing to where, like Bryce said, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Where did I go wrong? What did I do right? Of course. But what did I do wrong? Because if I fix the things that I did wrong and add it to, what I'm saying, and make it a strength, that's when I can start having success. When I have an organization who start making the right moves and we all on the same page. Next thing you know, we getting Chris Joneses, we got Pat Mahomes, we putting talent around it, around the quarterback, and you just go and be a winning franchise. It can change some things, man. It just changes things. And I feel like Andy Reid walked out of a good situation into a great situation, into a team that was like, hey, look, man, we ready to win. What do you think? And they really embodied it. And look where they at now. On the brink of, well, not on the brink, but have a chance to not only defend their title, but what I'm saying, to win three. So
Yeah.
it's just like, man, it's just whew, it's crazy. It's crazy to even think that we're even right, that we're even, what I'm saying, in this time to where Andy Reid can possibly even be called the GOAT. When he left Philadelphia, he wasn't even in that conversation. He was just a really good coach. And
Yeah.
now it's a possibility he may be one of the GOATs. That's crazy. But it's wonderful, and it just lets you know how football or just things in life can change if you're willing to.
You're 100% right, and you guys are both on to something. What I really liked, really from both of you guys, is you have to be yourself. Well, in order to be yourself, you got to know yourself, right? You got to know the good and the bad. Socrates said first, know thyself, and it is true, right? Um, I'm dramatic. I have a little flair. I'm a little loquacious. I joke at times. Bryce is polished. Bryce is reserved. Bryce is intelligent. Bryce has a sense of humor. I could never be Bryce. Bryce could never be me. Chris has that steel trap, that deadly delivery, that steel pan delivery, but I can't walk into an organization to be Chris. I can't walk into an organization to be Bryce. I got to go in there and be T Will. Now I can learn. I can take a look at someone's habits, right? I can take a look at Bryce's habits. I can take a look at Chris's habits. I could see why they succeed. And by the way, John, how you doing? John and Mike from Out of Your Falcon Mind.
Sir, out of your Falcon
Yes,
mind. They back too. They
sir.
back too, man. They back. They had did a show together. It was
Yeah,
wonderful seeing the fellows back, man. Always great seeing them two together, especially, what I'm saying, Mike being back. It was wonderful. Great show. Great show.
Mike is
Looking
hilarious.
forward to more.
Mike
Yeah, that's my guy right there, man.
had John on our show, and John said it best. John said Mike is one of one, and he is.
Yeah,
Uh,
he is.
Mm-hmm.
and,
Yeah.
and in all seriousness, I think, and to tie this back to Raheem, he was a coach 32 years ago. He has coached under some of the greatest minds, offensive and defensive, in the world. He's categorized this information. He put it together. He looked at where certain organizations went wrong. He was on the precipice of having a championship with the Falcons, and they decrescendoed into the abyss, literally. Okay, it killed that team. I don't care what anybody says. The Falcons, Matt, Julio, they were never the same. They were never the same. You can fool yourselves if you want to. There are some things you don't get over until you get past it, until you go back and hit that rung, until you go back and win that Super Bowl, until you go back and do whatever it is that you missed. You're not going to get past it. And these Falcons never did. And that I like Raheem being there because he was a part of that, but he was also a part of success. He went out to LA and won a ring, right? He studied under McVay. He learned under Monty Kiffin, the father of the Tampa 2 defenses, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Studied under Mike Shanahan, right? He studied under
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Shanahan. He has studied under some of the greatest defensive and offensive minds in the world, and he is the most articulate, charismatic person I've ever seen. And some things are just synergy and timing. And
That's it.
I think that this time, I think he's going to get it right. I really do. To all of the news pundits out there saying, well, he failed, at his first head coaching gig. I think it's bad when you're so desperate to make a point that you just pander, right? Because if and I say that from the perspective, if we're talking about 5 years, that's fine. This was 15 years ago, right? Do you remember what you were doing 15 years ago, Bryce? Chris, do you remember what you were doing 15? I don't. Now I'm old. Okay, so maybe you guys
I ain't
do.
gonna lie. I remember exactly where I was at 15 years ago, and I'm just glad I ain't there no more.
And well, I don't. Okay, but my point is, 15 years is a quantum leap. I mean, it's a whole universe away, right? The man has learned, probably forgot more things in those time than others have learned. So my point is, all of this came together for this time right now. I think Raheem is a totally different coach, and I think this year is the beginning of Raheem and the Falcons walking into their destiny, and maybe, if we're lucky, their dynasty.
Woo! And with that being said, cue the drums and the piano. You got a shot after that one a little bit.
Oh man. All right, guys. This has been so much fun. I appreciate you guys.
Yo, Uncle Steve, what up? What up? What up?
I did you right. Let me go back to Uncle Steve. My bad. Uncle Steve, how you doing, man? Hopefully all is well. Let me go back to your comment and feature you. Thank you for that, Chris. What up, T. Phil, Chris, and Bryce? Can y'all believe we are under 40 hours from kickoff? No, I'm
Man,
excited about it. I've lost sleep. I probably won't sleep Saturday going into Sunday because I'll be so excited. I'll be at the game. Bryce, are you
yeah.
coming down, or are you? What game are you going to? You coming to this game, or what game are you going to?
I gotta see because it's just work. I work weekends usually, so that's usually the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I gotta see what I could get to, if anything. But I'll definitely try to see for sure.
Well, hey man,
Mm,
you there, Chris? I know you will be there.
yeah,
Guys,
I'll be there.
this is the time for shout outs. So Bryce, tell us what you're doing. Tell us where we can find you. I know I did it at the beginning of the show, but that was an hour and a half ago, and some folks have forgotten, and maybe some folks weren't here. So tell them where they can find you. Tell them what you're doing, and yeah, let's do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you letting me come on. Follow me on Twitter, Bryce_2K. You can follow me on all platforms, even YouTube as well. I'm also host of the Believe in Hawks podcast, my Atlanta Hawks podcast that I do for the Believe Podcast Network. Available on any podcast platform for anybody who wants to do the video or audio. You can find it on multiple places. And yeah, like I said, just keeping up, covering the teams and hopefully, we have a good conversation on Sunday about the Falcons winning against Pittsburgh Steelers for sure.
That would be awesome. And guys, let me tell you something about Mr. Bryce. Mr. Bryce does the work.
Mhm.
Did the podcast with him during the Hawks, and just about everything that he predicted came true. And he's a little like Berto Damas in that way. And I'm sorry, Bryce, call him Damas. I can't do that. That's taken by Berto, so we got to come up with another name for you. But he's good at his craft. He does the work. He does the research, and we're lucky to have him. And again, sir, thank you for joining us. Chris, tell us about what you're doing this weekend, man, because I understand that you're going to be at the game in a different
Mhm.
capacity. So can you tell us, what are you going to be doing, and also tell us where we can find you?
Well, shoot, I'll be working with Fox Sports, man. I'm gonna be helping out with a little production, man. Also, learning a few things. Trying to make myself valuable. This will be my third year freelancing with Fox Sports now. So, hey, I'm thankful because they gave me more games to work this year. This is the most games I'll be working so far. I'm working 5 games with Fox total. So this week I believe I'm going to be in the booth. I'm not going to be on the sidelines. A little bummed by that, but hey, I'm just happy about the opportunity ultimately. And shoot, I'm going to be what I'm saying, kind of shadowing Joe Davis, and they switched up the crew a little bit. So apparently it's going to be Greg Olson now. So that'll be great. Gonna yeah, that's going to be great right there. So yeah, got that going. Um Also been keeping some things to myself, also going to be freelancing going forward with NBC.
That's awesome.
So
Awesome.
yeah, man, they gave me a call and said, "Hey, man, you what you think?" And I said, "I think yeah." So that's going to be another thing. So now that's Fox, CBS, and NBC. Just trying to work them up, and
Mm-hmm.
it'd be nice to get ESPN next and hopefully be at the Chiefs game. You never know. We'll see what happens. But yeah. So right now it's a total of 6 games I have. Because the Thursday night football game against the Buccaneers when they come up here, I'll be at that one too. So I'm just working and appreciative of the opportunities, and I'm also reaching out, just try to gain more opportunities and everything too, because I feel like I can never have enough. So that's really what's going on there. Of course, outside of that, A1 Forever Sports, that's always the brand, the platform. Still gotta I have 3 drawstring bags left out of 15. I'm grateful for the people that reached out and purchase some. I really appreciate that. Definitely going back to the well to get more merch for people who want it. Because again, I appreciate it because I believe no one has to do anything for you. So I'm grateful and always humble anything anytime anybody clicks on any of my stuff, purchases any merch that I have. So I appreciate that. um, of course, you already know the 95 North Sports Machine gonna be rolling all season long, regardless. Pre-game, post-game, we're gonna be doing that. Of course, we've moved to Wednesday nights on the pre-games, just because on Tuesday nights now, Smitty and or Berto sometimes is on the NFC roundtable, and
Mm-hmm.
that's by Bet US. So that's another thing going on. It's just opportunities just popping up all around. um, the fellow Smitty and Berto, they also are part of a fantasy league right now too, that you can still, I think, possibly join. Don't quote me, but I believe it may be a $25 buy-in now if you're trying to join if you didn't beat that deadline. But that's just another opportunity. So shout out to those fellows, man. We all got different opportunities coming up. Um, that's what it's all about. At the beginning of the year, I was saying 2024 growing season, and honestly, we all been growing, and that's including you two brothers. And I've been watching you guys work. You guys continue to, flourish. You guys continue to grow, elevate yourselves. Because you all definitely have the capabilities to accomplish whatever you want to. I really mean that. So, y'all fellas, just keep with the grind. We all gonna keep with the grind. And shoot, man, that's really all I got, man. Just oh, and of course, find your peace. If you ain't found it today, make sure you do that because positive energy always creates elevation. That's all I got.
Amen. Hey, number one, Chris, I appreciate you, brother, as always. Guys, Chris did all my video, all my designs. So did my logos, did everything. Look, holla at your boy because he's great. Secondly, I want to thank Mr. Bryce Lewis and Mr. Chris A1 Forever because you guys came in, spent an hour and 40 minutes with me, and you didn't have to. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your wisdom. I just thank you for the opportunity to come and do this because you didn't have to. Secondly, I want to thank all of the wonderful fans in the chat. I want to thank Carrie. Carrie's been here the entire time, and I believe Carrie's got to catch flight. So, she didn't have to do this. I appreciate it, Mr. Jack Spade. I want to thank you, sir. Thank you for coming in here, spending your time supporting me. Jack has been the ultimate mentor. I cannot thank him enough. I appreciate you. Thank you to Uncle Steve. Thank you to Out of Your Falcon Mind. Thank you to Michael. Thank you to I'm missing somebody. Deke and Mike again. Thank you all. I appreciate you. All the Falcon fans in general. Lastly, I want to thank God. I appreciate. I would not be here without him. And guys, let's go. Let's go, man. This has been. Let me tell you something. My father passed in 2020. My niece passed in 2023. She was 15. She's a special needs child. But anyway, she passed. My mom passed this year. So I say all that to say tomorrow is not promised to anybody. Guys, anybody within the shout of my voice, get out there and do something. Whatever your passion is, whatever you are moved to do, go ahead and get it. Do not be afraid. Do not stop. If you succeed, great. If you don't, that's good too. But at least you tried. Man, I'm excited for this Falcon season. I think we're going to do great things. I don't know that this is the year, but dang it, I'm here for the ride. And with that, guys, I'm going to close. I'm going to wish you guys a great evening. And hey, man, you guys can always feel welcome to come back. And you got an open seat on my podcast, and that's any of them. So thanks, guys. Thanks for joining me again. Fans, you guys have a great day and rise up.
Sir.